It was once on Spotify and then it vanished. Nobody really knew how many copies were pressed back in 2018, but it was a big deal. Led Zeppelin's first ever Record Store Day release, now hovering somewhere between collectible and urban legend. I was never especially thrilled by Record Store Day. I browsed the 2018 list back then. Great artists, lots of albums, but nothing I would made an extra effort to get until I reached the letter L section. Suddenly there was a reason to care. A lot of lucky fans walked out with one. I was one of them. 2 hours in line at my local shop while everyone else chased the obvious titles. Hardly anyone seemed to notice Zeppelin had a brand new release out that day, but I did. And the track choices immediately caught my attention. I paid around $25 and went home thinking goodbye Yellow Brick Road, hello Yellow Disc songs. This 7-inch single remains a strange blind spot in the digital world, and today we're diving into why it exists, why it matters, and how it quietly slipped through the cracks. This is the making of Record Store Day 2018, or Yellow Vinyl Record Store Day 2018, or Led Zeppelin Yellow Vinyl, or just Yellow Vinyl. You decide what the name of the episode is. Welcome. Singles, a game Led Zeppelin never wanted to play. They wanted people to buy their albums. They wanted to stay away from the industry's 7-inch single game, but it was inevitable. As the biggest rock band of the 70s, many went out and became collectible items through the years. Past their tragic breakup, that was it for singles. Box sets and remasters followed. Fast forward to 2018, the year of Zeppelin's 50th anniversary, 50 years after their first ever London rehearsal in the days of the New Yardbirds, 1968. The classic rock world was ready to enjoy a full-blown celebration. They decided to go for a single to get the Zeppelin frenzy started. Our story begins on February 27th, 2018. A captionless image was posted on Led Zeppelin's Twitter account. The mysterious bird had everyone guessing, crossing their fingers it was unreleased material. This image comes from Led Zeppelin's third album Gatefold artwork. Right about here, an Easter egg for the Zeppelin community and those with an instant photographic memory had a ball. Just about an hour later, a limited 7-inch single was announced with 2 tracks. Blabbermouth shared the news and nobody on their staff seemed to care the photograph had no relation to the product. Their 2000 reunion was far away from the early 70s. They threw in a spoiler of an upcoming deluxe edition for How the West Was Won. You can check my 2-part making of series here in the channel. They really fixed the original audio issues on this one. So back to the big news. Pitchfork went for a June 28, 1969 Bath Festival photo. Almost there, but they didn't fit the right timeline for the 7-inch single contents. Spin Magazine got it right. September 1970 at the Melody Maker Poll Awards. Right at the end of the Led Zeppelin 3 timeline, and just months before sessions for Untitled began. The Record Store Day single tracks, Rock and Roll and Friends, were not exciting for many, with some folks calling it a cash grab. But for the seasoned fan, this was a vital studio extension that had Take My Money written all over. Why? The 2014 remaster series for Led Zeppelin 3 and 4, more specifically the companion discs, is where the answer lied. Both discs contain fascinating alternate takes, mixes, and instrumentals on the classics, so the 2018 Record Store Day single felt like a proper continuation to the concept. Let's take a look at the tracks. Track 1, Rock and Roll, Sunset Sound Mix. As I've explained on my Making of Led Zeppelin 4 series and 10 Hidden Secrets episode, Jimmy Page's original crisp and pristine mixes at Sunset Sound Los Angeles didn't really survive the album's final cut over a technical issue once the tapes were flown to the UK. Everything sounded muddy and Page had to remix them from scratch, further pushing back the album's release date to November 1971. It wasn't his fault, just another day at the office. Going to California proved to be a trouble affair. Now, against all odds, some of the Sunset Sound stuff survived, like Stairway to Heaven on the 2014 companion disc. Rock and Roll would now be available for fans to appreciate what Page originally heard in LA, and it's an eye-opener, more like an ear-opener, especially if you're a guitarist because Jimmy dominates the mix. While you won't hear the drums, bass, nor vocals up front like the 1971 version, this wall of sound by Page is exquisite to fully understand his sonic architecture and string wisdom. Track 2, Friends, Olympic Studio Mix. This is why this single exists. A late May 1970 session in London before the orchestral overdubs were added. To say this is fascinating is an understatement. This is one of the biggest revelations into the group's mystique. You can hear acoustic guitars, loud percussion, Robert's vocals, and what sounds like a synthesizer in the background. Every element hits you in the face, demanding for your attention, and audiophile-wise, you can see how smart the final mix was, blending the orchestral sounds to emphasize the storytelling and cinematic feel. Some critics and fans complained that these tracks weren't truly previously unreleased, which caused some controversy at the time. Record Store Day was meant to be about exclusivity, and for many this felt like a simple rehash of old material. In reality, it was something else entirely, an audiophile experience, an inside the studio snapshot of Led Zeppelin's working environment, offering context, clarity, and sonic detail that standard bootlegs never provided. Now let's take a look at the artwork and design. This was a clever blend of Led Zeppelin 3 and Untitled, no question. The 4 symbols were taken directly from the 4th album, while the remaining elements came from the 3rd release. The Roman numeral 3 comes from the front cover, and the rest, once again, are lifted from the album's gatefold. A Zeppelin, 1 butterfly, a wood screw with a Phillips head, a bee, and our old friend, the bird approaching the circle we saw earlier. Geometric lines were added on top to echo the original 1970 design language. Strange but fitting, a respectful tribute to the past. I didn't find any design credits other than Atlantic Records, so whoever did this at the label, good job. Now let's talk about the yellow vinyl. I have a possible explanation for the color. In November 1971, the band attended a photo shoot to celebrate the release of their brand new Untitled album. Yellow paper was used extensively for several photos and later shredded to pieces in pure 70s fashion. They were probably told the paper represented the critics, especially Rolling Stone magazine, so they went ahead and... Maybe it's a coincidence, but this very shot was later used for the 1990 remastered box set booklet, making the yellow vinyl feel like a perfect full circle. So how did the new release do back in 2018? Led Zeppelin's 7-inch single conquered the UK charts at the time, taking the #1 spot over other Record Store Day releases such as David Bowie's Let's Dance, full-length demo version, Sufjan Stevens' Mystery of Love EP, U2's Lights of Home, and The Small Faces' Lazy Sunday 7-inch single, to name a few. Promotional t-shirts were made to celebrate the special occasion, and you wish they've done these in yellow, like the vinyl itself. It looks okay, but it does feel like a quick hot press image transfer you can get at the mall, especially the back cover. I would have left that just plain black. Although Record Store Day never specified how many copies of Led Zeppelin's 2018 single were pressed, it clearly found the right audience, steadily growing its collectible status across Discogs and record fairs. Staying in tune with the yellow vinyl concept, the Zeppelin camp later announced a limited edition Japanese 7-inch reissue of Immigrant Song Back with Hey Hey What Can I Do? I pre-ordered a copy only to receive a refund when the release was unexpectedly cancelled that October. But hey hey what can I do but say hey hey I wanted that single on my hands. Fast forward to September 22nd, 2025. Led Zeppelin announced yet another promotional single for Record Store Day in November. They deleted all posts just hours later. Fans didn't feel trouble-free transmission. They couldn't pump their gas. But wait, they eventually made up for it in November 2025 with a reissue of the 1975 Trample Underfoot Black Country Woman single, released as a part of the 50th anniversary celebrations for Physical Graffiti and the Live EP, an episode you can check out here on the channel. The 2018 Record Store Day single remains a vital, often overlooked chapter in Led Zeppelin's catalog, and still very much worth grabbing if you ever spot one in the wild. Mine even has a small crack in the cardboard sleeve, and that's perfectly fine, because records like these aren't museum pieces. They're meant to be played, enjoyed, and celebrated. Now I'll give this 2 out of 5 bat out of hells just because Friends is so good. It kind of overshadows rock and roll, and I find myself playing this side much more than side A. Now I can see why they took the songs down from Spotify. They directly competed with existing bonus material, such as Friends No Vocal, an instrumental version with orchestra, and on the 4th album we get Rock and Roll Alternate Mix, which is not the Record Store Day version, but simply that, an alternate mix. This track also appears as a single in their discography, so that's too many rock and rolls going on. Discogs lists around 108 copies of the 2018 release. I hope you scored this one for your collection. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.